Hello, everyone, and welcome to Burn the Ship, the podcast that helps entrepreneurs go all in on their business, and we introduce them to professionals that can help them to do so. Today, we have a very special guest. John, how you doing today?
Fantastic. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Please introduce yourself and the name of your business.
Yep. I'm John Henderson. So I run Morphe Consulting. We're a small consulting company in a little bit north of Nashville, but we've got a global footprint at this point. We've got clients in the United States. We've got clients in Europe. We've got a few in Latin America. Our core business here is just bridging the gap for our clients when it comes to technology, helping them on utilizing their data, making data-driven plans throughout the entire company. But we really focus on the development, the data, marketing, optimization, and strategies around that to really just get the most ROI out of what they're doing from all things technology.
Excellent, excellent. I am looking forward to learning more about that, but I want to learn a little bit more about your journey and how you got to this particular point. Tell us a little bit about your story and how you got to Morphe.
Yeah, I've done all the things in technology. Little bit dated at these days how long I've been doing this, but for probably the last 25 years, it's been all things data, all things development. That was working for other employers, doing whatever they needed. But around 2008, I started a consultancy because we actually had an interesting economic pivot in the States here. And I was looking for a few extra things that we could do for my home at that time, and just kind of took the database skills, and that became the foundation of the consultancy, solopreneur, just me doing stuff at night.
Mm-hmm.
But that just kind of grew and grew and grew at a extraordinarily slow referred pace. It was intentional that way. And I've been running it that way because it started exposing me to other things out there in the industry. Even though I'm working a proverbial 9 to 5 for someone, it just lets me see what else is out there and bring that in. Or sometimes take what I'm learning inside my own company, take that to the consultants.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to say, much like everyone else in the world, COVID, the lockdown, the work from home initiative, that actually ramped up things, much like everyone else, because we were remote. But I say ramp it up, but we didn't really feel like we were ramping it up. But an advisor of mine around 2023 actually asked me, he's like, "So how are things going with the company? How your employees?" And I just everything we've been doing was little small projects with companies. So it was like, "Oh, I got 5 or so people on this little project, 5 or so people on this little project," and it just really was a good, nice, self-managed company. I do believe in a lot of autonomy for my people, so it was very well self-managed. But then he asked me, he's like, "So how big are you?" And I was like, I don't know, 10. And I sat there and I thought, and I was like, "Oh, actually, no, we're 23 people." And he's like, "Well, buddy, I hate to tell you, but that's not a side hustle. That's a company."
Absolutely, absolutely.
So we kind of looked at it and realized we'd grown. Again, still the referral, even during the COVID period, the referrals are really how we got what we were getting from a client base. We weren't marketing. Um, but I said, well, here we are coming in. This was by 2024 last year. We just kind of said, I think there's no more necessity to be working that proverbial 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Loved the company I was actually working for at the time, but loved them so much so that now they're actually a client. We just kind of
Okay.
pivoted a relationship. So that was actually how well the relationship was going. So we went out to do Morphe full time. So Morphe Consulting is who we are. It's Morphe Morphe.io. But we're now doing that full time. Took the employer, made them a client, grew those people that were referrals, and now we're starting to lean in and be a little more intentional with our own growth. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
doing that at a pace internal to make sure that as we scale the clients, the team internally, the processes internally scale appropriately with them. But starting last year, about the beginning of Q4 last year, we just leaned all in and said, we're just going to do this full time. It seems like we've actually got a hold of something, not quite lightning in the bottle. I mean, we're no, unicorn rocket ship, but it was something that was nice. The employees that we have were enjoying working on it, and the clients like what we do. So we said, let's grow it and do more of it.
Said let's burn our ship and go all in on the business, huh?
Absolutely.
I always ask that question as we transition from, what you were doing before until what you're doing now, because it takes a lot of confidence. It takes some boldness to go all in on the business. Was it just a level of, okay, I have this many people working with me, I have this many clients? What was that event that happened that said, okay, I'm just going to burn my ship and just go all in on it?
Yeah. The irony was, yes, we had a certain level of people. That was a good reason because we had a solid foundation that we felt like we could stand on. We had good people, mention that autonomy. They were self-managing. They'd been doing it as, again, fractional things we had. One of the things that we found was that a lot of us, even the people that were working for me, may have even been doing side things. Some of them may have been fractional internal. And we had a few meetings and found that honestly, to as you say, burn the ship moment to go, what's inhibiting us from growing is the fact that we're not giving this the intentionality and the focus this deserves. And I mean, rightfully so. We were all working a quote unquote day job. So that's where the
Mm-hmm.
focus should be. But we're like, we all kind of had that moment of like, but do we want to just be doing the day job or do we want to be doing this? Because as much as it had been successful, and again, I use success on a, everyone's relative scale, but for us, it had been successful. And we said, well, do we want it to be more successful? If the answer is yes, the intentionality is going to have to pivot over to here because
Yes.
we can't keep doing a day job and be quote unquote distracted with the things there. I mean, you nailed it on the head. It's scary jumping and taking that leap and starting your own thing and going, okay, well, all my quote unquote security was in that employer and they were providing all the things. And oh no, now I have to do it. And oh wait, oh no, I have to do it for all of these people that are relying on me. So
Yes,
it was a little
yes.
scary, but we did realize it was that moment of like, it's either keep doing the day job and that's fine, or we focus on this and we grow. So we just said, we're going to have to take the risk.
Okay, awesome. I definitely appreciate you sharing that. I think it's great for entrepreneurs to hear. It's going to be a little bit scary, but you just got to go ahead and dive in. Now, I want to learn a little bit more about Morphe. Let's just
Yeah.
say that I am a small business and I engage you to help me. What is it? How does that process go? And then what are you helping us with? Tell us all about your business and so people will be more familiar.
Yeah. We don't have any one gateway, which is in one sense nice. In another sense, it does get a little interesting every time we engage with a new client. But I mentioned some of those pillars we operate in. It could be marketing, it could be development, development being apps, web, API, I mean, you name it, the traditional development. When we say data, the irony of that being there's 5,000 things we can do when it says data, but we typically allude to like a data infrastructure, data utilization. A lot of these small to medium businesses never heard or don't understand how to get a data warehouse, as an example. Like that's a good place where we start with them. So when we say data, that's typically what we mean. And then this optimization piece, which is app store optimizations, search engine optimization, conversion rate optimization. So these are all modes with which you can start conversing with us, and we really lean into whatever you want to talk to us about in that specific topic. But why I mentioned we're bridging the gap on this is they're all connected.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing development, you're generating data, which means you probably should be collecting it somewhere. If you're collecting data, you should be operationalizing and getting ROI out of that data, which means more likely sending it somewhere, probably marketing, probably your email tool, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
That means you're probably doing marketing. Marketing can then be optimized where you're landing on the website and or the app store. So it all just is a full circle. So
That's right.
you come in on any of these avenues to talk to us, we're going to most likely mention or at least probe, because for us, when you start working with this, one of the big things I tell any CEO or founding CEO or CTO, if we work with them, or just the three guys in their garage, they're wanting to get something started, like whatever it may be, we
Mm-hmm.
tell them, I want to understand, what is your 10-year vision? I'm not saying we're going to shortcut, skip. We're not going to jump over any milestones, but it helps us think through your strategic roadmap. If I know what is your 10-year vision, what is that BHAG that just keeps you up at night? Because, and I tell everyone this, getting from where you are today, and again, we also try to eat our own dog food in this sense, but getting from where you are today to where you want to be in 10 years is not a straight linear path.
Right.
It is a
Right.
meandering, starting and stopping, taking detours. Who knows how we're going to get there? I just need to know the destination and we'll get you there.
That's right. That's right.
And I've seen that in the quote unquote day jobs I've worked with. I've seen that in the clients we've worked with. I see it now, even that we've leaned in on our own path because I had one vision of what this was going to be in the next year. And it's not where I thought it was going to be. It's different. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just, it's different than where I thought, but it's all about the intentionality, the leaning in. But you have to have the plan. And that's why
Right.
we ask, because all those topics, they're
Mm-hmm.
going somewhere. They're
Yeah.
for a purpose.
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
that's really where we want to lean in. That's that strategic part where we want to help them think through.
Makes a lot of sense. I definitely appreciate you sharing the inside of the business and what you're trying to get accomplished for them small to medium sized businesses. As you have gotten going, you've been in business for a while, and we understand that networking is very important. Have you found a specific referral partner that has been a good opportunity to send you over leads and opportunities for business growth that we can take a look out for?
Yeah, the irony being it was a we as a company partner often with a lot of the companies whom we bring their solutions to bear for someone, because again,
Hmm.
I would tell this to everybody out there: you have to always evaluate your build versus buy strategy. There are many things out there, they've been built, they are now managed, and there's no reason to build your own, proverbial reinvent the wheel on the thing. So we partner with a lot of these people. And a good example for one is talking about that data. One of the first things people want to do with data is quote unquote see it. So there's some kind of visualization tool that we put in place. One of our partners that we do that with, they've been great. So much so that, I mean, we've come. It's Clipfolio. There's no hidden secret there. It's Clipfolio. It's a wonderful visualization product. But I mean, most everything that comes in for the United States, we don't really have this agreement, but it's almost like we get first right of refusal of a lead that comes into them because
Hmm.
we've just done good work for the people they've referred. And those referrals, again, that same principle, we just want a little dashboard built, and then we dig in to understand your data, understand your strategy, and next thing you know, we've blossomed that into a relationship. Which again, if you want to know how to grow what you're doing with your people, curiosity, just lean in
Yes.
on what they're doing and find out what they need and then help them get there. But
Hmm.
Clipfolio has been a great resource in that sense, in the scope of a true quote unquote partner.
Hmm.
Now, I have a few mentors and advisors personally who, they've gone out before me. They've done all these things. They've seen the things that I'm hoping to see, and they uh, respectfully send me people that they know have a problem that we could solve. They're not just sending everybody randomly to us, but
Right.
and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But I think that's another thing. Just saying that for some of those other founders and entrepreneurs out there, having a good mentor relationship with someone who has gone before you, and I mean, it really behooves you to have them be a good leap ahead of you, 10, 20 years ahead of you,
Hmm.
because just the sage wisdom and advice they provide is, it's invaluable. You're not going
Yes.
to pay a consultant to get that kind of stuff. They're going to be the friend who's going to tell you when you're doing something stupid. So consultant doesn't usually. Um,
Yes.
but they've been also, I'd say, a godsend in the fact that they've seen what we're trying to do and they appreciate the level of intentionality we take. So a good mentor will do that for you. But I do say getting out there with some of those larger business partners, and also depending upon what space you're in, and this varies. A lot of today's partnerships, I would say, come with co-marketing opportunity, which is also just a wonderful thing that I know when I started my business, a lot of these things, my partners would not market on behalf of me. They wanted me to
Hmm.
market their tool, their service, their platform.
That's
Well,
right.
now these co-marketing relationships are forming, and that's also a really big help for some of the smaller companies.
Okay. Okay. Makes a lot of sense based off what you shared with the individual client. You want to have a good discovery, good
Mhm.
conversation with them to try to see where they want to go so you can help bridge that gap. And then for the entrepreneurs, it is okay to get advice from mentors. It's actually something you should reach out and seek for because they already have the knowledge. I think I like what you said, the age and the sage.
Mhm.
That makes a lot of sense, because they've been through those experiences and they can help. And as we talk about experiences, you've been doing this for a while now. I think it was 2008 is what I looked and I
Yep.
saw. And I know over this particular time, you have acquired and nurtured a bunch of skills. Do you mind sharing with the entrepreneurial audience that is watching today some of those skills or one or two of those skills that you have acquired that they can use towards their business and hopefully grow?
Yeah, honestly, this was a skill acquired out of a lot of failure, and that's another thing I tell one of the everybody I talk to, whether it's my employees or just other people that we're doing strategy on, which I'll come back to this point in a moment. But you more often than not, as a human, are going to learn the most from your failures. Just period. That's kind of sort of how we're wired.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the problem is you can't look at your failures as failures. You have to look at your failures as learning opportunities, and
Right.
that in of itself is a skill that I learned over the time because I mean again I beat myself up over some things I've broken for a client, or we screwed up in this particular project, or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And for the longest time I just said, oh we failed, and then you start learning this mentality of it's more about I had a hypothesis, the hypothesis was wrong, proven wrong,
Mm-hmm.
so it wasn't a failure. It was just we learned to actually create our nomenclature to say, are we going to pivot or are we going to persevere? So that's one of the biggest skills is learn to treat your failures as a learning opportunity. That just really helps you. We used to say fail fast and fail forward. That's the key thing
Yes.
you want to do.
Yeah.
Secondary thing, and this was another one that I learned. I was humbled by a lady that used to work for me because she was all we. I mean, we literally said she's people and process. That was kind of how we described her. She's people and process. Empathy was her middle name, and empathy was not in my vocabulary back then. It was like I did not have empathy, and you better believe I didn't have sympathy.
Right.
Uh, my psychographic said I'm a bulldozer who will plow through whatever the problem is. We will get the job done, and consequences be damned. We will do it. But I also learned a little bit of that same principle, learn through failure. But I actually, and I say this with complete humility now, but I remember in 2016, I mean, I still so vividly remember it because at the moment it was actually, I was very prideful about what I'd done. I came and espoused a whole big strategy and informed everyone how what they'd been doing was wrong. Not in so many words, but what they'd been doing was wrong. Here's how we're going to write it. Here's what we're going to do. But as we kept digging into things and people kept like trying to challenge it, and I was like, no, because if what you wanted to do was going to work, we wouldn't be having this conversation we're having now. And by the time I ended that meeting, literally men and women around the table crying because I had upset everyone. Not crying tears
Yes.
of joy, they were
Yes.
upset. Some
Yes.
crying because they're so angry they don't know how else to express it, and we're in a business meeting. Some crying because I truly have offended them. And I looked at that meeting and I was just like, look what I've done.
Mm-hmm.
I've put all these people in their place. And that one particular girl who worked with me, and she agreed with everything I was saying because she's like, you're right. We've been doing it wrong. We should be doing this. But she took me aside after that meeting and she goes, hey, I agree with everything you just said. I agree with the strategies, the tactics, everything else. What I don't agree with is how you just treated all these people.
Yeah.
And I said, I didn't treat these people one way or another because I wasn't being mean intentionally to any one person. But she was like, you didn't ask how they felt about what you were saying. You didn't ask why they did what they did. You didn't ask. Again, there's that curiosity. You didn't
Mm-hmm.
ask all these things. And she said, you could have a strategy and it's going to be right. She said, but you just burnt about 8 bridges, and none of those people are going to want to do anything you're telling them. So,
Yeah.
do you
Yeah.
expect good results after this? I was like, oh yeah, do my tactics. It'll be great. And she's like, no, they don't care what you just said. And so
Yes. Yes.
learning empathy, which is where I go back to that curiosity, is because you have to understand where again, this is employees, this is clients, this is whatever. I
Hmm.
mean, honestly, you can take this to your spouse, your partner, your whatever. I mean, learn where they are
Hmm.
mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and meet them there, and
Yes,
then bring them with you.
makes a
You
lot of
are not
sense.
going to drag them kicking and screaming where you want them to go.
Yeah, yes. So ultimately, just to follow up on that situation, did you have to go back to them and have another conversation, or did you stick to your guns at that time and say, "Here's the whip, take it or don't"?
Oh, I was too conceited and too prideful back then to apologize. And again, hard lesson learned. I rectified the relationship with all of those people individually.
Okay,
So we were good individually, but one of the things that I did ruin was my ability to lead them as a group.
okay, okay,
And, and
okay.
and again, hard lesson learned. I'll tell you another one of the lessons I learned in that moment too. You don't lead groups, you lead groups of individuals. And that is a
Yes.
distinction to understand. Those individuals have very different needs, different motivators, everything within it. And you got to learn how to get like minded people, like motivated people together, and then
Hmm.
lead that group. But it's groups of individuals.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing. That was a very important lesson that you shared with us and a wonderful story because people have to understand as you grow the business, which you have, you said 23 employees at this particular time, you don't have to just know the dynamic of your client. You have to understand the dynamic of your people, your resources to get those goals accomplished for those clients. So you got to keep an eye on that as well. Very important lesson. I definitely appreciate you sharing that. Now, as we go forward, I always like to talk to the guest and let the people that are watching know that John is a human. Now, he is working on his empathy and maybe get some sympathy one of these days here. But let's just say that you have consulted all of the small businesses that you need where money is no concern, time is no concern. What is it that John would actually do with his time?
Personal time, travel and eat, man. Travel and eat. I travel in order to eat. I say that I think we were talking earlier. Like I can't quite tell. I got a map back here. We've you probably can't tell it in the video. We've got little pins in the map. My
Okay.
wife and I, our goal is honestly every state in the U.S. to hit it, and numerous areas in the world we want to go. Honestly, if it's safe to be there, I want to go there.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
we travel because, and this honestly goes back to just learning and growing as an individual, which goes into a whole people and seasons of life. We could make a whole other podcast on that. But as I grew into this and started learning again what makes other people tick, this became and learning how to motivate them. But we said, I want to go experience the culture of wherever we're going to go. I don't
Hmm.
want the proverbial Americanized resort vacation. Take me there. That's not nothing wrong with that by any means. That's not to say we don't do that sometimes. But when you really want to go in, I want to meet the culture. And the
Yeah.
culture, often everywhere, food is a universal language. We're all going to eat. And if you want to know how best to experience the culture of some new place, sit down and share a meal with someone,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
preferably a meal that's very culturally unique to that area.
Yes.
I
Yes.
used to tell it. I would tell people like, if I come over to your house, I want your grandmother to cook for me. Like that's the thing. I want that person who's
Hmm.
just gonna cook and knows like we're not going to the grocery store and buying some microwave something. Like we're gonna make something authentic to what's part of us. That's the easiest way and the best way to experience the culture. Another one of favorite things of mine. Granted, I'm not great at it, but languages. I love languages. So trying to speak multiple languages. I mentioned earlier we have the clients in Europe. My team is disparate. I've got some team in Europe and some team in Latin America. So speaking Spanish or speaking Italian or French or Dutch, like it's important to me. They all speak English, so I mean they accommodate us. Our clients often all speak English. English is becoming the language of economy. So I mean speaking English is important, but flipping that back around, the empathy and the sympathy and experiencing their culture, I want to try and speak and lean into your culture, wherever it may be from. Because again, that's just what really lets you understand and form that empathy. It's an exercise, it's constant exercise to form that empathy and understand who those people are, where they came from, what makes them them, and
Hmm.
food and language. And again, the world's big. It's beautiful. Like, go see it.
Right. Yes, yes. Now, if you don't mind sharing, what is the next destination that you guys have planned? Is it somewhere in the United States, somewhere across the world? What's the next one you have on the books?
Next one on the books will be Cancun.
Okay.
We
Okay.
visit Cancun often. We love Cancun. It's beautiful. The other one that is right after Cancun is most likely going to either be Tuscany or the Amalfi Coast in
Okay.
Italy. But Italy is
Okay.
high on my wife's desires.
Nice, nice. Well, that's a good deal. I'm glad that you guys got that planned out. Now, John, if someone that's watching the show today wanted to get in contact with you to learn a little bit more about those strategies you provide for small businesses, some of those skills that you share today, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
I mean, simplest website,
Okay.
https morphe.io. It's morphe.io. But I'm also happy we have a company number. You can call us there. It's 843-882-5446. Those are probably the two, just quite literally almost direct way. There's a contact form on the bottom of the site, comes straight to my inbox. So
Okay. Okay.
those are the simplest ways. LinkedIn is also a simple way. My the irony, my you probably safer to look me up by my name. My handle was again a bit old when I was doing a lot of database consulting, so I was the SQL Ninja. That's SQLNinja. Apparently I never updated it in time to get a grown-up version of the, like, get my name on it, but you
Right.
can find me by that, or you can look up Morph on LinkedIn as well. But
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Definitely appreciate you sharing that. And then lastly, we appreciate you coming on. You took some time out of your day to share with us about your business. You peel back a little bit of the layers of the onion to tell about some of your personal stuff that is sometimes hard to share with the empathy sympathy story. We always honor our guests by giving them the last word. So please look into the camera and tell the people something good.
well, what I can tell you is this: today is as hard as it's ever going to be. You can always reset tomorrow and change whatever you were doing. If you messed up, just change it tomorrow. You have you have tomorrow, and that opportunity is what should alleviate the fear. It doesn't make it less scary, but they used to say bravery is not doing something. Bravery is being scared to do it, doing it anyways. And that's the thing. That's the entrepreneurial journey. Every little new step you do, new hire you bring, new client you bring on, new industry you're going to broach, it's always scary. It's not going to be less scary. Just lean into it, face those fears, just fail fast and fail forward, and you will succeed. It may not go fast, it may go slow, but success is really about the journey. It isn't just the end destination.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, John. And thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Yes, thank you. It's a great time.
And to everyone that is watching, be kind and thanks.